Welcome back to the ARL Now podcast. I'm your host, Lena. We're here with Dan, and this week, filling in for Vernon, we've got Katie. Welcome to the podcast, Katie.
Hey everybody, my name's Katie. You probably know me from some of the local business coverage here in Arlington. Um, Nice to be on the podcast today.
And so you've abducted Vernon, right? And you're holding him hostage so that you can take over the show.
No, rest assured, guys. Vernon should be back on the next episode. He's on vacation.
Yeah. All right. Well, are we ready to just go ahead and get into it today?
Let's do it.
All right, perfect. The first article we're going to talk about is one of yours, Katie. New product to help people find lost items launches in Arlington.
That's right. So there's Falls Church entrepreneur. His name is Dave Doctor, and he's come up with a unique solution to Lost and Found, and he's calling it Lost AF, which he says stands for Lost and Found. Any other double entendres there, he acknowledges as well. But basically, it's kind of like a QR code like scanning system. And I don't know if let's say if I put this sticker on my water bottle. There's stickers, by the way. If I put one of the Lost AF stickers on my water bottle and I lose it and someone recovers it, they can scan the QR code, and it's like everyone gets a unique QR code in email, and it'll immediately trigger an email draft that they can send to him, and then it'll find its way to my email.
So here's my thing with this one. This guy, he advertises this as like a replacement for AirPods or for air trackers or whatever they call those things.
Yeah,
like
the
the Apple
AirTags.
AirTag.
AirTags, but it's not, right? Like it's not. There's nothing
No.
electronic about these.
That's right. No, they're just vinyl stickers. So that you can't, it's not like an AirTag where you can track something in real time. But if someone does find it, it's kind of relying on the benefit of the doubt that someone who finds your item will, follow the instructions.
So why can't somebody just put their phone number on something or like their email address?
That is true. That is an option. Dave was telling me one benefit of this product that he's come up with is that, if someone, for whatever reason, they just don't want to put their name or any contact information, this is a way to go about that in a more private way.
Okay. But you have to use your phone and scan a QR code instead of just calling
Yeah.
somebody or emailing them.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting. Granted, I lose my stuff around the house and I don't so much lose my stuff out and about, but I'm in, these DC Facebook groups, and it's like constantly people are posting stuff being like, did anybody lose these keys? Did anybody lose this wallet? Did anybody lose, So I think it has the possibility of being helpful. The only thing is, I feel like it has to become popular enough that people see the QR code and immediately know what to do with that QR code. Like, if I saw a water bottle, like someone's water bottle, and there was like a QR code on the bottom of it, I don't think my first instinct would be, let me scan this. So I think
that's right. And I think
yeah,
the name the Lost AF comes in handy there because I think the stickers, they have a little QR code, but they also say like, I think some of them say like, help me get home, or like scan to send email, or like something like that.
okay.
Yeah.
My thing
Okay.
is like, if you're the kind of person that's losing your stuff all over the place, are you really the kind of person who's gonna go and print out these stickers and put them on things that you might lose? I feel like there's not much of an overlap between these groups. Maybe I'm wrong.
You've never been a 21-year-old at the bars who gets home and realizes that they don't have their phone?
But like,
Because I know a lot of people in that situation.
yeah, but I feel like if you're that kind of person, you're not gonna be printing out, like, you're not gonna have the foresight to, like, print these out, put them on your things, and go through the whole process of, like, reaching out to somebody who found your thing.
Yeah, I feel like unless you're someone that's like notorious for doing that, I could see if you are well known amongst your friend groups for leaving your stuff. I could see the friends being like, this is a problem here.
Yeah,
I don't
it could
want
be
to
like,
deal with trying to find this stuff up anymore. Here's because it was what, like $14 or something? So it's inexpensive,
yeah,
obviously
so,
a lot cheaper than the AirTag.
And you can also, he has a thing where you can print them. If you go to the Lost AF website, you can print them at home for free if you get your own, like, I don't know, sticker paper or whatever. And he was giving them out for free at Pacers and Casual Adventure Outfitters. But yeah, I can totally see this being like a funny little gag gift or something. But the first step is admitting that there's a problem.
That's so passive
Right.
aggressive. Katie, this is what you should have got me that one night I left my backpack at you remember we we went out to what was that beer
Bronson
place?
Beer Hall?
Yeah, we went to Bronson
Was it
Beer Hall.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was calling you like I left my backpack there.
Yeah.
No.
I remember that.
Um maybe I could be a
See?
recipient, I guess.
Exactly. You could benefit from this maybe.
I'm
You
still
know who
not
I
gonna
bet
use
would
them.
really like this is bartenders, like bar employees
Mm.
who are
Oh,
probably
I'm sure.
constantly finding stuff. And so I bet if they're like, this gets really popular, I bet they're like, great, I'm going to scan the code. Not my problem anymore. Just going to
Yeah.
have it like, under the register, wherever. All right. So moving on to the next one. Dan, this is one of yours. Tenants and officials spent months fighting for improvements at Amazon funded apartments.
That's right. Yeah. We had covered this one a little bit before. There was a meeting a few weeks back where some of these tenants showed up at a tenant landlord commission meeting, and we're just talking about the many problems that they have had with their management at Crystal House. So this is an affordable housing complex down in the Crystal City area, and basically for months, these people living there have had issues with maintenance requests not getting filled, various problems, vermin infestations, leaky pipes, squatters. There were allegations of people just like they would leave the rooms unlocked and people would come and live in the rooms illegally, is what some of the tenants are
Mm.
alleging. Just all kinds of issues here. It sounds like a really nasty situation.
I saw that someone said that their whole hall got flooded.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like it's just kind of been a mess and it kind of, you know, no one seems to really want to take responsibility. Everyone's just kind of like, oh, no, my problem.
Well, I mean, yeah. So the property owner has been making some changes. People have been fighting for changes for months. They have been slowly
Mhm.
making changes over the last few months. One of the factors here is that under ordinary circumstances, the county would have some financial stake in an affordable housing complex. In this case, the county didn't fund this, and so the county's ability to actually enforce anything here is sort of limited.
Yeah. Yeah. The one thing that I saw that is not funny, but they called about their water being like cloudy and white.
Mm-hmm.
And the maintenance worker was like, that's just how it looks. I would be like, okay, then go ahead and drink it. This would be immediately what
Right.
I would say. Like, okay, that's how it's supposed to look. Go ahead, drink a nice glass of water right
Yeah.
now and tell me it's okay.
Right. Right. Yeah. I hope that tenant was like, all right, here you go. Drink up.
I think what stuck out to me the most, I think that the tipster in your story had described living at Crystal House as being like another full-time job.
Mm-hmm.
Just with
Yeah.
Right.
all of the requests and all of the maintenance and things not getting done.
Mm-hmm. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, I feel a bit of a personal connection to this one. I've had some really lousy landlords I have dealt with in the past. And like it just takes so long where like, you have your own job and then you come home and you have to be emailing your landlord just over and over again trying to get things fixed. I mean, nobody wants to live like that.
Yeah. Seems definitely stressful. Doesn't sound like, people are going to be clamoring to find a unit there.
Unfortunately, yeah. I mean, they definitely have been making some progress. They have a new property manager. They say that they are trying to make some changes. But I mean, when you've got the county basically breathing down your neck along with the rest of the tenants at an apartment complex, definitely things are not going well.
Yeah. But I mean, hopefully this kind of gets resolved, at least as far as, you know, it can. I don't know if renting anywhere is ever going to be like the most ideal. I feel like I've never had a great landlord situation. but definitely never experienced anything like this. So,
Yeah, I mean the anecdote where she's talking about her hallway flooding. I don't know if I put this in the story. There's one anecdote where she said there was like water coming out of a light in her bathroom. Yeah, and thankfully the person, my main source for this story, she recently moved out of here, and I think that's why she's sort of feeling at liberty to kind of go off to the media
vent a
about
little bit. Yeah.
this. But it sounds like it's been a rough time.
Yeah. Not ideal. All right. On a happier, more exciting note, next one is another one of yours, Katie. The new fantasy bookstore and cafe in Falls Church. This is
Yeah, yeah.
exciting.
This is exciting. I feel like it's exciting for a few reasons. Falls Church, I don't think they're just about over 2 square miles, and I don't think that they have in that 2 square miles their own bookstore. So I think that's exciting. Also of note is that the Clarendon Barnes& and Noble is now closed for the ongoing renovations. I think they're putting a brew house and axe throwing on the bottom floor. So while that's closed this summer, we have another bookstore option in Northern Virginia, but they're specialty. So they're very focused in on like the horror genre, science fiction, fantasy, all of that. And they're called The Dark Unbound.
Yeah. I feel like within the past couple years, we've been seeing such a resurgence of like small local owned bookstores as opposed to, no offense, Barnes and Noble, but as opposed to, Barnes and Noble, Books a Million, stuff like that. And I love it. I love seeing this. I love going to all those small bookstores. So I'm really excited to see it. I feel like the interior is probably going to look so adorable.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like,
I was looking at their Instagram and I think they said that so it won't just be a bookshop, they'll also have a little cafe
Hmm.
section. And I think it'll be like Alice in Wonderland themed, is what they were hinting at.
wow,
Oh
Yeah.
that's
my
very cool.
gosh.
Yeah, is this a thing where a bookstore like specializes in a certain kind of books? I feel like I don't know of that many other bookstores that are like that, but maybe I just
Yeah.
don't
Well,
go to
I
many.
know I'm trying to think of bookstores I've been to in the area. I know that in Alexandria, they just opened a new Friends to Lovers, which is like just romance. It's like all I
Hmm,
do. But I'm trying to think. I don't know aside from them any other themed stores in the area.
hmm. I feel like it's such a cool aesthetic. Like if you're gonna pick one
Yeah.
aesthetic to be your bookstore, like fantasy and sci-fi, like specifically by diverse authors too, I think is just such a cool concept.
Totally. Especially, I was reading on their website. I'm not a huge fantasy reader myself, but I think that genre specifically, there's been a lot of like underrepresentation. And so they're specifically hoping to spotlight diverse authors, which is really cool.
Yeah, I could see this being a spot that like I could see a lot of people kind of going on their little like, join me on a day in Arlington, like the TikToks and stuff. And I could definitely see this being one of the spots that is featured in the TikToks, especially with the pretty backgrounds and everyone loves a good bookstore and
Yeah,
cafe.
That's right.
yeah. Seems
That's
like a cute
right.
date
Yeah.
spot too. Like,
Yeah.
let's grab coffee and go to the, cool new bookstore.
Yeah. I feel
Yeah.
like that's a good way to weed out a bad date too. If they're like, you want to go to this dark fantasy bookstore, not my thing. You can be like, oh no, I'm busy. Sorry, something popped up.
Yeah. Well, anyone who wants to try that out, it looks like they're aiming for like a July, August opening. I think they're under construction right now.
Do we have any sneak peeks of what it's gonna look like inside?
No, I think on social media they might have shared. Still, I don't think anything is like ready to show yet. But they're just if you're interested in like what the vibe might be, I think their social media page is a good start.
I'll have to, yeah, I want to go look them up because I think this sounds so cool. Like I said, I love a good bookstore. Do we know, I'm assuming they're doing all like new books, they're not doing like a used book situation. Do we know? Because I know a lot of small bookstores have started doing that as well.
Yeah, I don't think I had seen anything about used books. Just that their
Okay.
selection it'll just be very curated.
Well, that's very cool. I'm
Yeah, I feel like
excited.
especially like an independent bookstore too. Like I just don't know how many of those there are. There are a lot in DC, but
Hmm.
Arlington and Falls Church in particular, it just seems like there's a bit of a
Yeah.
shortage.
Aside from, I know we have one more Page Books in East Falls Church, but other than that, oh, and we're also getting a bookmobile this summer, but that has yet to open, I think. But aside from that, that's our selection.
I don't, right by me, we don't have any super close bookstores. And so I'm always very happy when I can find one to go to because they're always so nice to just go. If you've got nothing to do that day, you can go to a bookstore alone and get a cup of coffee and not feel weird about it, not feel weird about like sitting at a table by yourself. So I like it.
Mm.
Maybe we can do a ARLnow tour whenever they open up.
Yeah, there we
Absolutely.
go. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so excited to follow up with them just to get a look at it.
Yeah. No, me too. Hearing that you said they mentioned something about it being like Alice in Wonderland themed. But I mean, that's going to be
Yeah.
chef's kiss.
Down the rabbit hole.
Exactly. All right. And our last story today is another one of yours, Dan's. Longbridge Aquatics and Fitness Center closes after possible burst.
Yeah, this does not seem like a good situation. So Wednesday morning, they're just like some people out in the pool having a good time when suddenly the ceiling above them bursts open and water starts pouring out. At least is what they've been telling us. We got pictures of it. Like, looks like some pretty nasty damage there. Um, yeah, I was listening to scanner chatter, and yeah, firefighters show up, and there's sounds like it's some kind of burst pipe or maybe some sort of issue with the sprinkler system. The county's being a little bit cagey about what exactly is going on. But yeah, I mean, it's just over at Longbridge Aquatics and Fitness Center. So this place that opened just a couple years ago is now having these maintenance issues, which is a kind of a rough look.
Yeah, I'm surprised that they're not just super like, oh yeah, pipe burst, because a lot of the time that stuff just kind of happens. So I'm wondering why they're kind of like, we don't know, unless they genuinely don't know.
Well,
But I
I
feel like
mean,
it would be kind of obvious.
right, right. You show up, you look at the pipe, like what happened here?
Yeah.
They're like something something sprinkler system. We know the sprinkler system and the fire alarm went off. I'm like, really? Because people who were there are telling me what happened.
Yeah. So I was curious. I think earlier you had mentioned earlier in the day that there's some pride related events that are supposed to happen at this pool. Are those affected at all?
No, they are not affected. I checked with the county, and yeah, this pool, this is all happening like literally days before this aquatic center is supposed to be hosting like a whole week of events for World Pride. So people, probably some of them are traveling internationally to come here to this fitness center. So thank God this happened not during one of those events, and presumably they're going to be able to get it taken care of before those happen. But yeah, pretty scary timing there.
Yeah. It seems like at the very least it's a fixable issue. You
Hopefully.
would think so at least.
You would think so. So, I mean, the other part of this, though, is that they actually did have a similar, or they had an issue with their sprinkler system last year. Actually, this was like right when I was starting out at Arl Now. One of my first stories was writing about this issue with the sprinkler system, and they were like, "Yeah, it'll be fixed by the summer." So, hopefully, this isn't that extensive.
Okay. I mean, on the bright side, it doesn't sound like anybody was hurt. It doesn't sound like the roof fell on anybody.
No, yeah,
So, kind of, you know.
could have been worse. Definitely could have been worse.
Yeah, I'm looking at the images though, and it doesn't look great.
No, I mean, in
Gaping
fairness,
hole
if
in the
there's
ceiling.
yeah, if there's one place that it's okay to have water leaking everywhere, it probably is a pool.
Right. Right.
So they said that the sprinklers like all went off, or it was just the ceiling, or is it
I mean, you want me to pull up the story? You want
is
me
it
to
a
see exactly what they
mystery?
said? They
I
said
forget. Yeah. Oh, a sudden water gush and falling ceiling tiles.
that's what the tipster tells us, but what the county tells us
Yeah.
at this moment, we are not certain of what caused the sprinkler system to turn on. However, the Arlington County Fire Department is on site investigating the case.
Interesting. Yeah, because I'm also seeing, so I'm almost wondering if some of the tipsters maybe, because it sounds like another one said, happened to notice a trickle of water and then the ceiling tiles. And the other person had said, gosh, what was it? that it was like a water gush. Those are two very different.
Hmm.
Right.
So I have to assume that it's, somewhere in the middle of the.
Hmm. Oh,
Do we
see, I
know
think the
how?
story has been updated since I wrote it.
Oh,
The details are all coming out.
wow. Do we know how many people were there, like taking a class when this happened?
I do not know. I could ask the county and they'd probably say the facility was evacuated.
Well, yeah, I'm interested to see exactly, if they come out and they're like, it was just this, or, because, yeah, the differing reports
Mm-hmm.
is very
Well,
interesting.
yeah. Well, especially all of this for a facility that literally opened, I think 2021. So this is not an old facility. It's had issues before. Uh, and it's supposed to be kind of this centerpiece for Arlington. I mean, literally, it is a centerpiece for Arlington. We're hosting World Pride swimming events at this facility, and unfortunately, it is suffering from these maintenance issues. So here's hoping
Yeah.
that they can get this resolved soon, and that there aren't any more issues. More underlying problems with materials or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully it's just something small and hopefully it is like the Parks and Rec person said, hopefully it is just a little issue with the sprinkler and it's something easy, quick, and they'll be good to go by the World Pride, but
Here's hoping,
who
because the
knows?
events are starting warm-ups are starting tomorrow, I think, and the events are starting on
Tomorrow, oh
Saturday.
my
Oh,
Right.
gosh. Oh,
Yeah.
that's
oh no.
right. It is almost June. I'm thinking, no, June's not for another few weeks.
Right.
No, June is starting in
So
a couple days.
this podcast runs Friday, right?
Yeah.
So warm-ups, they're today when you're seeing this.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yes.
goodness. Oh my goodness.
Listeners, hopefully it's been fixed by today if you're planning on being there. Oh my goodness. All right. Well, those are all the stories that we have got for today. It was a pleasure speaking with y'all. Katie, great to have you.
Thank you.
Hopefully, you'll be Vernon's fill-in every time he's out.
We'll see. We were joking about having a poll, but but Arlington Now universe, it's been great. Thank you.
Thanks, Katie. Yeah, you guys will have to duke it out.
Well, I guess what is this bi-weekly?
I think
No,
it's
it's every
weeks.
week.
Weekly? Okay, well we'll find out next week.
Yeah. Like I said, we'll just turn it into Survivor, every week. Only the strongest remain.
Yep, we'll
All
How do
right,
slowly
you feel
guys.
whittle
about
it down.
this?
All right, guys. Well, we will talk to you all next week.
All right. See you then.
All right. See ya.